So with RTTKs playing this week and potentially crashing, what should we do regarding these investments? On top of this, I'm going to be talking about all the content that has been dropped in the last 24 hours. But before we do start, if you guys are interested, I do offer a little trading service over on Twitch. I offer daily updated trading guides, and you can get this for free with Amazon Prime. All you got to do is click on the top link of the description, and as I say, you got to subscribe over on the Twitch channel. It is either free with Amazon Prime, if not £5, €5, or $6, and in return you do get yourself daily updated investment guides and daily updated trading data. So in today's video, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be talking about the today's release content. But the most important thing I want to be covering in today's video is what is going to be happening with Road to the knockout stages. Because of course, this week we've got the Champions League and the Europa League is back. And because the Champions League and the Europa League is back, it means that Road to knockout stages are finally coming into play regarding, they're being hyped around these cards being upgraded. Now, if you're not aware of how these cards do get upgraded, basically what happens is they can receive a +1 for either getting 1 goal in 4 different games. That is their club getting 1 goal in 4 different games, not the player, or them winning 3 games. Now, we're literally into, if I'm not wrong, the 3rd game week. Again, in previous years, what would happen is the game week before the promo wouldn't actually count, but this year the game week before the promo actually counts, meaning some of these teams, if they go and get themselves another win, are going to receive the +1, just like we saw recently with just like we saw recently with the women cards. Well, there we go, we can head over to trackers. There we go. We recently saw these UCL women. These cards went and got themselves an upgrade because they went and hit their 2nd win. Well, again, we are, we are not far away from this now happening with the men cards. If I can go and show you here, what have we got? Someone like Real Madrid, sadly, only has 1 out of 3 wins. There we go. So if Liverpool going to get another win, obviously someone like Van Dijk's going to go and upgraded. Do you know what? There is a lack of teams on that 2nd win. We've got someone like Frimpong, and yeah, so on and so on. But as I say, we'll be talking about the trends in a second. So what I've done to show you and walk you guys through the different trends is I've loaded up a load of cards last year. I've got basically the card last year, and then I've talked a little bit about the form they went and won, loss on, because we had different trends. Someone like for Acuna example, we can see he peaked here on the Monday, and the 23rd is the equivalent of today. Whereas we can see if we scroll through someone like Lulu was crazy. That crash right there, but we'll be talking about that in a second. Someone like Diaz, there's the Monday, but then he still rose a little bit more. So what made some players rise a little bit more and what made some players drop? So let's go and talk about the different situations. The first situation is that of a team that is looking very unfavourable to go and qualify, or at minimum, I think, go and get the 3 wins. Basically the 2 main upgrades we really care about are the 3 wins or 4 games with one goal. But the main upgrade people are going to care about is probably going to be that 3 wins, because a lot of teams should go and receive the 4 games with 1 goal. So we got someone like Acuna last year, right? And Acuna last year, the team he went and played, which is the equivalent, was Arsenal. So Sevilla were never favoured to go and beat Arsenal, which meant when they went and played Arsenal on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, you can see that his card crashed in price. But he actually peaked on the Monday before he even played. So, he was dropping before they even played, basically. And why does this occur? Well, this occurs because what happens is the first teams that go and play on the Tuesday, when either teams that are likely to win and they do win, don't rise, or teams that are likely to win and they don't win, crash. What happens is this creates panic selling across the market. So even though we've got cards like the Europa League and the Conference League cards, we still see these cards peak on the Monday and then start to go down going into their game, because, maybe not the best example with Diaz, but because people see the other cards crash, and because they see other cards crash, they go, do you know what? I don't fancy that as an investment. So the first thing I will say is I do recommend selling all cards today. The reason I recommend selling all cards today is because there's no gamble. Because if you go and gamble on your team's winning, especially if they're favourite to win and they don't go and win, they're going to crash very heavily. This is Acuna, someone who wasn't even favoured to win. Sevilla would have been maybe, 30% favourites to go and beat Arsenal. He dropped from 112 all the way down here to 100, getting as low down here to 93. And another thing I will show you as well is teams that win don't even necessarily go up. We get someone like Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes with Manchester United by a crazy chance went and beat the likes of, it's hard to banter a club and look for stuff at the same time, there you go, Copenhagen. They beat Copenhagen 1-0, which is a massive result for Man United. Well, again, that win occurred on the 24th. So they beat Copenhagen here. They beat Copenhagen, he went down. he literally did not rise to a higher price than he was on the Monday. So before he played any games, he peaked. And again, he had another rise right here on the Friday. But again, you're getting more on the Monday. And God knows what would happen to this guy's price if he lost. Well, this might be a good example of what happens when he's lost. He went from 500k to 360k when they played. Later, I guess the following month, in November the 7th, when they then went and lost 4-3 to Copenhagen. And you can see that's the sort of drop. So this is literally what occurred with a favourable result. With a favourable result, he just didn't rise whatsoever. We can see that right there. So again, unfavourable result and lost, dropped. Favourable result and won, dropped. We've got ourselves some other cards like there. Kalulu. There we go. We can see on the 23rd, peaked on the Monday, 208k. We can see that Kalulu went and played against, if we can go down here to October, they went and played against PSG and lost 3-0. This was a really close group as well, because it had Newcastle, PSG, maybe Real Madrid in that as well. But they went from 208 down there to 153. Now we did see a rebound there, but again we'll be talking a little bit about that in a sec. We can also see the likes of Diaz. We can see that Diaz with Liverpool went and played against, in October, Toulouse. They went and beat Toulouse 5-1 on the 26th of October. Well, what happened to his card? It just proceeded to drop. So you can see that kind of no matter what happened, no one really went up after their game. There isn't a gamble in buying the cards or holding on to the cards and hoping that they'll be worth more after the game than they're in the pre-hype, because absolutely no one was worth more post their game than pre-hype. So, you know, if you want to play it very safe, you're going to go and sell on the Monday. But what you will see is there are a few players where they rose right here. So there's a bit of an interesting trend, because actually a few players had a little bit of a rise a little bit after the first game. So for example, obviously players like Acuna, again, went and played his first game there, and he did nothing but drop. Bruno Fernandes played his first game there and then basically did nothing but drop. Kalulu played his first game there and did nothing but drop. But there were a few cards that rose. We can see right here, Diaz, again, they went and played their first game round here, but he actually rose. Next card, Osherman, we can see again, he went and played his first game around about here, then he rose. De Paul, again, another card, peaked before his first game, never went to a higher price. And then I was going for a few other examples, and another example right here is João Pedro. Here we can see he went from 337 up there to 480. We can go and grab Openda again. I think Openda was another card again. Did go and hit a nice, well, a higher price here in November right there, 315. Again, barely much more than he was before his first game. He was 295. In his next game was 325. And again, I was trying to find what is the correlation of these players, because, you know, there were I guess cheaper players that had the exact same sort of results, the exact same sort of position in the tables, and where it actually came down to was just how rare these RTKs were. So it's very, very rare for these cards to not have peaked in the first game, but any of the cards that did peak after the first game were the very, very expensive, very, very rare RTK. So the question is, why did this happen? You know, why did, even though, you know, they'd be on the same wins as the cheaper cards, why did these rise more? Now, I would say the reason these rose more is because they held value. Because there was, you know, 2-3 weeks where we got loads of top-end Evos. We got that, obviously, Llorente Evo. Then there's a really nice striker Evo. What actually ended up happening is a lot of players ended up getting replaced. But I think because some of these cards were, you know, top-end, very, very rare, very expensive cards, and especially if they were, you know, projected to keep on getting upgraded, these guys actually held value and they rose a lot going into their next game. One of the reasons they rose a lot going into their next game is because it wasn't like these cards were getting heavily invested, you know, obviously by investors, and then panic sold at these sort of opportunity, you know, investors panic selling, or people who I guess who don't know what they're doing, panic selling at any opportunity. People who own Diaz didn't have him in his investment, they just had him in their team. But there was still more demand and still more hype going into their next game. Which means that the only players that I'd maybe want to hold, and again, you're still gambling on them going for favourable results, would probably be stuff that's like 600-700k plus. I don't even know if I'd quite want to gamble on Garnacho. I don't know if I'd want to gamble on Gusto. But stuff like Van Dijk, as long as he's getting favourable results, should keep on rising, you know, for the best part of another few weeks after today. Same with Dybala, same with Harry Kane. Now, it's not necessarily a highly efficient investment because, you know, you're basically holding on to these cards for another like 2-3 weeks, only for them to maybe go up another 100 or 2, and, you know, for how expensive the cards are, that's not amazing. But again, stuff like Doku, stuff like Alvarez, stuff like maybe Diani and Bellingham, as long as they're getting results, they will probably continue to rise because they're not a very mainstream investment. They're not cards that are really getting replaced by promo cards. But I'll be honest with you, I just wouldn't even bother. I wouldn't even bother holding these cards. The best play is to basically go and sell them on the Monday. Again, if teams that are favourable to win, they don't go up. If teams that aren't, they're favourable to win and they lose, they crash in price, just like the likes, well, I say, it's just like, what's it called, Kalulu, but Kalulu I don't think was the most favoured in the world. I just don't see the reason to gamble. Even though some of these cards did go and rise for another week or two, maybe up like 10-20%, I think the risk in it just isn't worth it. It's, I guess, only really a case of if you want to use them in the team. But again, as soon as they have an unfavourable result, they'll go and crash. So I guess what I mean by this is that stuff like Garnacho and stuff like Gusto, as long as they're getting wins, they probably actually won't go and crash in price. Just like how you saw that Bruno Fernandes, where he rose, or he peaked on the Monday before the first game, but he didn't actually really drop. He just held his price, and then as soon as an unfavourable game happened, boom, down 150k. So if it's a case of you wanting these guys for your teams, you can hold them in your teams. But if you guys want them as an investment, you're going to go and sell them on the Monday because any rise post that is either risky or it's just not very efficient to go and hold on to whatsoever. So that's us covered RTKs. We've kind of, I guess, gone for a different format of this video where we normally go through the SBCs first, but let's go through the SBCs that EA went and dropped yesterday. So we went and got a much anticipated, because it's been leaked for only a few years now it seems, is we got ourselves a Di Lorenzo. If we can go and load him up. And yeah, he kind of came out as expected. Nothing too insane regarding card-wise, nothing too insane regarding price-wise. This card came out at 68k. Let's see if I go get my notes up on it. But yeah, he came out at 68k. Requires 3 84 rated squads, which is actually quite interesting because I can now go into this. EA requiring 3 84 rated squads. What this does is this starts really rising low rated fodder. Now EA could have gone, do you know what, we want 186 rated squad, and it would have been the exact same price. But what EA's doing a lot this year is they're going, do you know what, we want 3-4 really low rated squads over 1 high rated squad. Well, what does this mean for fodder? Well, obviously it's subjective on what we get later in the week. If we go and get more well-demanded SBCs that are low-rated fodder, 84s, 85s, are going to do really, really well because kind of they started the ball rolling very early on with I'd say Di Lorenzo is quite a well-demanded SBC. But stuff like 86s, 87s, 88s, now again, fodder only rises Friday to Wednesday after 6 PM content, meaning we've only got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to start releasing stuff needing top-end stuff, let's say about 87s, 8s, 9s, 90s. It's progressively becoming more and more unlikely that this stuff is going to rise before it's resupplied with division rivals. 84s and 5s I think are good. Obviously we had the Routier, but I don't think Routier really did rise much of fodder, and again it's another case of they just spam required loads of low rated squads, an 84, an 84, a 85 and an 86. So again, all the concentration and demand of the SB in fodder is in 84s and 85s. So if anything's going to do well between now and Wednesday, it's a lot more likely to be 84s and 85s. Now, if I'm not wrong, I don't think that Team Weeks really did anything. No, you can see 84s are discard, 85s are very cheap, 86 and 7s are really cheap at the moment, so not really much movement there, but at the moment low rated fodder is doing quite well. We can see this because of Chirby. It's gone from 1.6 up to 1.9. Now he's back down to 1.8, but because he's being required here, he's getting rarer, and the rarer fodder gets, every single time it's required one bit more, it does really well. Because if something is flooded on the market and it's required, there's enough supply for the demand. But if they've already made stuff rare because of player SBCs, upgrade SBCs, as soon as that hero SBC hits, and again, it is likely to go and hit with the exact same requirements it had previously because that's what they did last year. If 85s are very rare and then they go and drop a hero SBC, 85s will do really well. Whereas, of course, if 85s and 86s weren't very rare, we'd see what we saw last week, where it goes up 500 coins, 700 coins. But if it's very rare in the first place, it might go up like a K, might go up 1.5k. Of course, maybe more, sorry, even. But it's completely subjective on how rare fodder is, which is not something we know, because again, the weatherman does not control the weather. But back to Di Lorenzo, how did his link investments do? They didn't do too badly. You can see someone like DeMarco was 107 before the SBC came out, up to 118. I say the link investments didn't do too badly. They, the very mainstream stuff didn't do very well whatsoever. Barella, we can see, rose into the pre-hype of 31k, is back down to 27k. So why didn't Barella do well, but DeMarco did? Well, the reason Barella didn't do well, but DeMarco did, is because Barella is actively being packed. And just when the rest of the market probably was dropping quite badly from Friday, I mean, I guess he wasn't too bad, but he rose a lot, at least in the pre-hype. Like, if we go and look at the daily average, he was averaging 28k. Well, yesterday, he was up 5.5k in the pre-hype. So that's an insane amount of people buying him, which didn't necessarily demand him after he came out. Again, I don't think Di Lorenzo was badly priced or undemanded. I just think these cards are over-invested. Which is always, if you guys want to go and buy these investments, you want to buy them with shadows and you want to buy them with hunters. Because, and hopefully this will go and fit my agenda, because shadow cards hold value better than, shadow and hunter cards hold better value than cards without shadow and hunter, because the cards are rarer. Now, I'm not quite sure if it will work with Bastoni, because of course, centre backs are quite saturated with a shadow. Is it going to work? No, it might not work. It might work quite well for Barella. But, although the worry, I guess, is at the moment that maybe they are being spammed a bit on the market. If we can go and throw a shadow on, that'd be great. Because, yeah, I mean, especially with the cheaper cards, if we look at stuff like Nuno Mendes, stuff like Hakimi, when we were talking about the Barcola investments, they're just a bit rarer with a shadow. Because they're a bit rarer, it means they can hold their value a bit better. Yeah, I mean, you could still probably go and sell this guy for probably around about 31k with a shadow, which of course is about 3 to 4k more than he is without a shadow. So, it's just a kind of a way of investing in cards with them kind of having just being a bit of a safer investment. You basically pay like 1k more for him to have a shadow. So, for example, you would have bought him up to like 27k with a shadow there. And even though, again, yes, he went up to 32k, he's still holding 31k, or it probably went up to 35k. He's still holding 31k in comparison to the gold card there. But it's always way safer to go and buy investments either that are out of packs or to go and buy investments with Shadow and Hunter, other than just buying the basic cards. For example, Cavaselli, he didn't exactly do very well, but he didn't go and crash, 20% when the SBC wasn't demanded because it was over-invested. So, again, another example there. But once again, the Link investment's not doing too well. Something interesting to go and talk about is Mycon as well. Mycon did go and drop around about 40k with the SBC coming out. So, yeah, showing that people are, replacing him with the Di Lorenzo. Once again, showing that there was demand for him, but the Link investments were just over-invested. Don't really think there's an investment regarding him dropping because, again, he hasn't really dropped a high percentage. Do we have anything else to talk about? Yes, we did go and get ourselves a generic SBC yesterday. Obviously, we talked in previous videos about how you can go buy French left backs, and French left backs do quite well for these SBCs consistently. French left backs weren't needed. The requirements kind of push towards people building one league, and obviously France has rarely good left backs. It's got someone like Nuno Mendes. I'm pretty sure there's other ones that are rare left backs as well. So it didn't really work because French left backs work really well when you need one nation, but when you need one league, you can see 1, 2, 3 rare left backs. So yeah, we don't really expect them to do that well then. Meaning you can go and pick yourself up the French left backs, hoping them to do well. We did see a few players do well. We saw Prem goalkeepers. I mean, I've for some reason picked England as an example. We saw Prem goalkeepers go up a little bit, and we also saw Prem left backs again. Especially the English ones do quite well there, go 1.2 to 1.8, but wasn't crazy money regarding investments. The Evos, so apparently Evos are broken at the moment. I think you see stuff all over your feed at the moment about Evos being broken. They didn't really release anything too insane. They just kind of gave you something more to go and upgrade your whatever these are called, your foundations cards. So for example, obviously you put him in the foundation we got 2 days ago, and then you put him in this new foundation, and it goes and gives him a little bit more physical, a little bit more dribbling, a little bit more passing. The popular players are Gabriel Viega, Eduardo Quaresma, and that's about it. What I do quite like about these Evos is if you guys have gone and built the NWSL teams, obviously it does create some nice links. If you guys aren't aware, these cards, again, even pre-Evo, do go and give 2 league links and 1 nation link, meaning it does help to go and put some of the NWSL cards in. But yeah, it does create some really nice midfielders, like 87 pace with almost 85 plus stats and nearly 78 shooting. It doesn't look too bad. But obviously, again, some of these cards are obviously held back due to their initial links, or what's it called, or just due to their height. Like a centre back who is, how tall are we saying, 5'8". It's not too desirable unless they've got aerial plus. And I think that is about that. I mean, just quick talk about how the market's been. The market has been dropping since Friday. I mean, you can see Griezmann, obviously, back in packs has crashed. De Jong, back in packs has crashed. Saliba, even again, he's been used as link investments, has crashed each day. Mendy, the uncrashable card, even he's gone and crashed a little bit. Eder Militao, we can see right there, has crashed a little bit. What do we expect for these cards? We expect them to follow whatever they did last week. So Eder Militao, we can see, dropped on the Friday, dropped on the Saturday, dropped on the Sunday, dropped on the Monday, dropped on the Tuesday, dropped on the Wednesday, and then between Thursday to Friday held. So we kind of expect the market now dropping till Thursday morning and then rebounding a little bit. Heroes and icons again should follow whatever trend they did last week. Likewise with our pack specials should follow whatever trend they did last week. So if we go and look at someone like Diaz, we can see that Diaz dropped on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then I guess Monday onwards he wasn't too bad, but we didn't really see a rise until Wednesday through to Friday. And again, you can see that he's repeating the same trend. So yeah, you got till about midweek, if not Thursday morning, on your gold cards regarding buying stuff. That is going to go wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.